This is part of a series of supplemental materials that's painted in real time so that you can see the speed at which I normally paint. Now that I have his basic face shape down, I can go back and start refining the details a little bit. Try and make him look a little more unique and have a little bit of personality instead of just looking so generic. This is supposed to be an older character, so I'm going back in and adding in a bunch of wrinkles on the forehead and some crow's feet around his eyes. Making people look old is a lot easier than making them look young, just because you don't have to be as precise with your painting. You can kind of, mess up areas and it'll actually add to their look instead of detract from it. As I'm refining areas, I'm also going back and trying to push my contrast by adding more darks and lights. I'm trying to keep this pretty loose and not zoom in too much because usually when I zoom in and start working on something, I'll end up making a lot more mistakes, so that by the time I zoom out, everything looks out of proportion and just weird. A lot of times when I'm working, I'll squint my eyes just so I can try and evaluate the contrast more easily. That way I can see if my shapes are actually reading. I need to fix his chin. I'm going to make it a little smaller and just kind of more rugged. Before it was just a little too square and plain. You'll notice that I don't really use the color palette very much. I tend to just color pick within my same painting. You'll see me jumping around a lot too when I'm painting. I'll usually spend a minute or two on one area and then I'll see something else that I wanted to work on, so I'll jump over to that, and I just keep doing that until I jump around to the entire painting. I was thinking for these things under his eyes, that would be some kind of war paint or maybe tattoos. And I'm going back in and pushing the darks under his chin and on his neck. Looking back at it now, there's a lot of things I would want to fix. Like that shadow on the left side of the painting under his chin. It's just really harsh and abrupt. Doesn't really blend well into his traps. Now I'm just zooming out on my painting to check to see if everything reads from a distance. And I'm just flipping my layers on and off to see if the changes I made are going to be good or not. Now that I've flipped my painting, I've noticed a lot of things that I need to go back and fix. His right side of his face is a little too narrow, so I need to add a little more width to it. Kind of looks like it was chopped off a little bit. I'm also going back in and refining his sternomastoid a little bit, adding in the shadow that falls across that. I'm also looking around for places that I can add some hard edges, like right here under his earlobe. There's another spot over here where the wing of his nose meets his cheek. Usually this area is pretty bright, so I'm just color picking from the values on his nose. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit so I can refine that some more. This is also a good place to add a cast shadow that has some sharp edges. Adding some shadow on the side of his nose so I can differentiate the top of his nose to the wings of his nostrils. Well, I hope you enjoyed this short little real-time video of how I paint the face. I'm working on a few more real-time videos of Nibru, so you'll have to check those out in the future. Alright, thanks.